I think Isabel might be having Wi-Fi problems. If anyone else has any questions, then you can answer. We have another question. How did Laura and Mia juggle playing two different parts? They're really different from each other. I can answer that one. So it was like really like weird for me because like my characters were literally like polar opposites of each other. So like basically what happened was that so basically like how I did it, basically I just had to like real sorry, I'm trying to figure what to say. So it was like kind of hard because like I had to go from like super mean and like crazy and evil to then like super nice and exciting and like energetic. It was like just like you had to like switch really fast. It was just like really difficult. It wasn't that bad, but it was still fun though. Okay, and we're just gonna introduce ourselves again. Hi, I'm Laura. I played Miss Gorp and Miss Belush in Wayside Stories, and Sideways Stories.
My name is Isabel. For anybody who didn't catch it already, I played Miss Jules in Sideways Stories. Laura, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Laura Walsh, and I play Miss Saw.
And Abby?
Hi, my name's Abby, and I played Leslie in Sideways Stories.
And we'll go Caleb and then Rosie.
Hi, my name is Caleb, and I play Lewis in Sideways Stories.
Hi, my name is Rosie, and I play Damien in Sideways Stories.
And it looks like we have another question in the chat. Adriana said, you all did absolutely incredible with your characters. Thank you so much. And what were your favorite parts of the rehearsal process? So one, I think for me was getting to the theater and realizing that there's absolutely nobody in the audience. So when you were going to interact with people and going to talk to people, it was like so quiet and you were just like completely blown away by like how loud or how like big you could make the characters on stage by yourself and just kind of see where it went. Does anybody else have any favorite parts of the show that they loved? Caleb, you had some pretty good dancing, if that was fun.
The dancing was really fun. That part was really fun. Just like learning it and then like all like the little things that each character got to do. I feel like it really like made that scene really great.
Yeah, and then Laura MD, I think you went to say something.
My favorite like scene in the show is like when we were possessed, when Mia and I were possessing Miss Jules, because that was like really fun. You could be like really evil, like you have to show this really evil part.
And then, hi Rose. How hard was it to interact with each other and to say all your lines at the right time? P.S. It was awesome. Thank you. Rosie, do you want to answer this question and talk to them a little bit about what was actually going on behind the camera so we were able to stay in cue with each other?
Sure. So it was kind of crazy. What we did was all of us had one earbud in our ear. If you could see in some of the shots, earbuds in our ears, that was what that was. So we could have a track of all of us saying our lines in our ear to keep time and for the editors to sync everything up. So that was how we kept time with that. It was pretty hard to interact with no one there. Most of the time I didn't know where to look. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I definitely agree that it was a bit of a new process for all of us because you saw like the camera cut a few times, that was because we had to either try different takes or our earbuds would die or we'd have to just start or something like that. So it was a little bit of a bumpy road here and there, but it was still super fun to be able to continue performing. Um, People are saying how much they loved the tango part. Yep, that was Laura MD really was our star there, and Caleb. They all worked really hard to learn that dance. It was super great. So question, Laura Walsh, why don't you answer this one? Did it take extra rehearsals or time to do the play from separate locations? And was it more difficult?
Thank you for the question, Lucas. It was more difficult because unfortunately we had to film one at a time. Again, it was all done on the stage. Miraculously, it doesn't look like it, but it was really more the logistics of getting everybody in. And to film a student, it probably took 3 to 4 hours. So that
Yeah, awesome. And Caleb, what do you think was the funniest part of the show?
The funnest? The funnest? Probably scene 3 specifically. Just like the whole part with Mrs. Arms, that was really fun. Just like getting to like scream, and that part was just a lot of fun for me.
Awesome. And Abby, this question, or I guess this question kind of goes out to all of us, but did you all read the book before we had the play? I can answer this one. For me personally, we can go around and say it, but I myself did not read the book before the play, but I know there is a book, and I've heard that it's quite an interesting story. Has anybody here read the book?
I've heard of the book, but I don't think I've read it. But I know I've heard of the book before.
Okay, so I read the book in 3rd grade, I think. It was just in the school library, and I thought, oh, look, a book. I might as well read it. And it was, you know, I barely remember it, but I distinctly remember Miss Darves from the book because she was very scary to me as a 3rd grader. So.
All right, and we have a question here. This is a super fun question, so everybody should go around and answer this one. Which instrument was your favorite? I can repeat them. There was a snorkel, which I believe went to Leslie. Damien had a flurb. BB had a plicker whacker. Rondi had a curlwort. Myron had a moon glatch, and I believe at the end I gave you a Burpenspiel, Lewis. I think out of all of those, my favorite was Damien's flurb, his long kazooed flurb. That was probably my favorite. Rosie, what was yours?
Well, I feel inclined to say that my instrument was my favorite, but I honestly had no idea how to play it. I just ended up playing it like a harmonica. I don't know how it looked when I did that, but that was what I went with. So while watching the show, I really liked how the snorkel looked. It was just really fun to watch you play it. So I guess that's my favorite. Also, Caleb, the Burpenspiel, that was hilarious. So everyone just did a great job. I loved them all.
Laura, both Lauras actually, I know neither of you got to play an instrument, but did you have a particular instrument that you liked watching one of our students or Lewis play?
My favorite is definitely the plicker whacker because I feel like that's just really fun to say. Like plicker whacker, I don't know, it sounds really fun.
My personal favorite is the moon glatch, but I think what was even funnier is that we couldn't put our lips on the instrument, so watching you guys fake playing it as like the
I definitely agree. It was quite funny watching my students play instruments that they couldn't actually touch to make sound, but they put effort to make some noise out of it. So I think it worked. All right, Abby, this question goes to you. Did you really stand on your head?
Yes, I really did stand on my head, and that's why we had the pillow there because the desk was very hard and did not feel good on my head, so that's why we had a pillow.
Awesome. I actually have a question for Caleb. What was the hardest part of playing Lewis in the show?
Maybe I guess the dance scene with Mrs. Velouche, just because like I had to do like a whole big dance, but I was in a very small space, so I had to do like a leap and like within like 3 feet, which was really hard, but we made it work, and it looked really good actually.
And then a question coming in the chat. Who played the cow? I'm not sure if anybody else knows this. I believe it was Elise, one of our stage managers, played the cow. She volunteered to put on the cow head and wiggle her beautiful head around for us to be our cow in this production. So it was a small little debut for her because she's usually behind the scenes. Abby, another question coming in for you. How long did it take you to learn to write Leslie upside down?
Actually, before we actually gone into the theater, I never actually written upside down. So when we got there, me and Abby were like spent like 15 minutes just trying to see which looked right, how it looked upside down. Could you read it upside down? And yeah, it took about like 15 minutes of just constant tries trying to write up and upside down.
Definitely a few challenges for Leslie. You know, she stands on her head, she writes upside down. She's a very fun character. Laura MD, how was it playing both Miss Gorf and Miss Velouche? They are such different characters.
It was actually really fun being able to play like polar opposite characters. Like I feel like Miss Velouche was definitely like the easier of the two for me to play because her personality is kind of similar to mine in real life, so it wasn't like that hard. But Miss Gorf was like really hard because I had to like be like a really mean person. I had to like yell at like third graders. And it was just really fun. And also my nose kept falling off when I was filming. My nose kept falling off. So I was trying to like do facial expressions while also not moving my nose too much because then my nose would fall off. So yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah. And another question we have, when the instruments were played, was it the live CHS band? I do not believe so. I believe that was a recording of the instruments. I can assure you our band at CHS sounds lovely at the performances they do have. Usually they're not so out of sorts, but I believe that one was a recording. Yeah. And then this one can go to anybody really. Do any relate to the characters that played in the show? And if so, how? Caleb, I see you nodding your head. Do you want to take that one?
Sure, yeah, no, I can definitely relate to my character Lewis. I'm like, we're both just very happy and fun and very energetic all the time. I feel like we give off the same sort of energy, the same sort of vibe, you know?
Definitely. I would add on to that too. I love Miss Jewel's energy that she has. I love playing characters with super high energy, and I do love kids. So playing like a teacher where I got to be in a role that was interacting with a lot of children was really, really fun. This is a question from Lucia. Rosie, how hard was it to count in such an odd order?
Okay, so it was pretty hard. So what I was going to do, originally my plan was to just memorize all the numbers that I said in a weird order, and I tried, and then it didn't work. It did not work. So then I just said, okay, I'll just come up with random numbers and count like that, and that's what I did, and it came out like it came out. I think it was good.
I think it was very good. Laura and Laura, how hard was it to play such mean characters in the show? We can go Laura MD first and then Laura Walsh.
I don't think it was too hard. It's like the biggest thing for me was just like being really loud, like when I was yelling, because I'm not really a very loud person in real life. So I just had to really like be loud. And I also, it's kind of like weird for me to be like mean because I'm a pretty nice person in real life. So it's just kind of like hard because it was literally just the opposite of me.
Laura Walsh, do you want to share?
Yeah. So playing a mean character is very different because when I was younger, I used to play a lot of ingenues. But what's harder than being evil, which is super fun, FYI, what's harder than being evil is like being loud and asserting what I want. Like I'm naturally a very reserved person and I'm a people pleaser. So like Miss Arv is like, we're going to do it my way or the highway. It really just gives me
I definitely agree. And just to put it out there, I can assure you that both Laura Walsh and Laura MD are very, very nice and very lovely people in real life. They are not mean at all like their characters, which is why they're such great actresses because they play them so well. This question is actually to me. How hard was it to play an evil Miss Zarves? So that was actually quite a challenge because I had to match the energy that Laura created with her incredible character. I think one of my favorite parts of the show was probably the scene when Miss Jules is switching back and forth, though, because it was definitely an acting challenge that I hadn't tried before, trying to switch so quickly between characters who were so different from each other and still make it readable for the audience so they could understand what was going on. But that was a super, super fun part, and I love doing it. Did any of you guys or any of like us in the stream have any questions for each other?
Okay, Isabel, honestly, it was truly scary to watch you get possessed. I loved it. Was it like, I know you said it was hard to switch between them, but how hard was like actually, the getting possessed part where you did the head thing? Was it super fun? Was it like actually really difficult? How did you feel about, the scene itself?
Yeah, I had so much fun with that scene, and I so wish that both Mia and Laura could have been there with me because they had so much fun just cackling in the background. And I remember on Zoom, I think that was one scene we ran so many times trying to get the timing of that correct. I don't like, I knew I was supposed to look weird, so I was a little more willing to be like wacky, but I did pull a muscle in my shoulder, trying to like twist around. So that was probably the most challenging part of it. But other than that, the lights were super fun and super cool just to interact with. We have a question from Amelia in 4th grade. How did you guys get interested in theater? You are so talented. Thank you. Abby, why don't you answer this question?
I think I first got interested in theater when my mom signed me up for a camp over the summer in like 3rd grade. And I remember I was like so scared. I was like, I'm gonna hate this. I don't know what's gonna happen. But then I really ended up loving it, and then I just kept doing it for so many years.
Yeah, does anybody else want to build off of that? Because I know all of us are very theater inclined people. Laura, you can go ahead.
I also started doing theater with a summer camp. It was in like 4th grade, I think, and it was Peter Pan, and I was the dog, and I barked my lines in it, and it was really, that was how I started doing theater. It was just, and I just loved it after that. Like, I just never wanted to stop doing it.
Yeah, Caleb, I know that you do dance and you do singing also and so many other things. How did you get into acting in particular?
I think that I started also at a summer camp. It was at a performing arts camp, and I saw that a bunch of my friends were doing the camps, yearly show production that they do each year, and I was like, why don't I do that? And I did, and I really liked it. It was really fun. And then I joined drama club my freshman year, and I enjoyed that too. So now I'm into theater.
And we are so lucky that we have you. Yeah, I will definitely say that once we join drama club, like it really becomes a family. Drama club is such a family, and we're so caring about all of us and all of each other, and we're so supportive. And it really allows us to do crazy things and never take no for an answer, which is why we're able to do stuff like this and still continue to give you guys theater in these crazy times. Another question that came in: how hard was it for me to balance books, especially on my head? That I had never done before. I had seen it in movies, and I had seen it be like comedic in movies. It was quite challenging, the book I actually used in the show, because it was very thick and very heavy. So I remember Abby and I believe we actually had to stop the camera and then start again because I dropped the book off my head and then had to put it back on my head. But it was definitely a new skill that I've acquired now. So hopefully if I ever need to in life, I'll be able to do that. Yeah. Rosie and Abby, what was it like to have your first experience within the CHS Drama Club be in a virtual format?
If you don't mind, I'll just go first. So I've been looking forward to coming to CHS and joining the drama club like ever since I saw the first show, because it was so amazing. Like Alice, Beauty and the Beast, Hairspray was the first show I saw. I loved it so much. So it was very, very disappointing for me when, COVID hit, right as I was supposed to be going into the high school. And then, all that stuff happened. And then the first show I did was this one. And I think it came out great. I'm really proud of all that we did, and everyone did such a good job. So although I would have loved to be in person and be interacting with the cast and the crew and doing everything we would normally be doing at a show, I am, pretty happy with what we've been able to do in considering what is going on. So congratulations to everyone. You all were amazing. So
yeah, and Abby, do you want to share a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, just like Rosie, I remember like watching all the CHS shows and being like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And I can't wait to be in one of them when I get to high school. And of course, the virtual aspect of it was pretty different, like rehearsals every day on Zoom instead of like in person and stuff like that. But I really think it was cool with what we made of it. And yeah.
Awesome. Sorry, I had to stop my camera there for a second. I had to plug in my computer. But another question we have, this one's from Rylan in first grade. Isabel, how do you change your voice so much from now to how you sound in the play? I would say when I'm being Miss Jules and when I was playing her, I really tried to talk like how I see teachers talk in a lot of like childhood stories we see. So like Miss Nancy from like the Magic like School Bus series, or I've definitely mixed that up. But the different characters like Mary Poppins and stuff like that, how open and how just like, well, good morning, everyone, that they are. I really tried to embody that character, and I'm a little glad that I don't talk like that all the time, but I'm hopeful that both voices are super good. So we also have another question. I love this question. What would you say to anyone who is feeling discouraged during these difficult times and maybe doesn't feel like getting involved with theater or another activity because it's not the same? Does anybody here want to answer that question? Laura Walsh, go ahead.
Yeah, I totally feel your struggle, but I think we're so lucky that it's here. And as Isabel mentioned, like Drama Club is a family. Drama Club is a goal, and even if it's online, like my passion hasn't gone away. We faced like so many more obstacles, but it feels just as rewarding, awkwardly enough. So I just say give it a go. You really have nothing to lose. It's just something to focus towards.
I think Laura put that in such a great way, and I would agree that we all really understand your struggle. We understand that it's hard to stay motivated during these times, and with such like a constantly changing world, it's hard to like focus on like what you love to do when so much is so different. But we encourage you, please never stop creating, please never stop inspiring, because there is so much that you have to offer this world, and the limits of the COVID-19 pandemic are nothing compared to you. One quote that I love so much is, "I'm going to make you happy," said the universe, "but I'm going to make you strong first." And I try and remember that in times of struggle, because there is a bright side somewhere. It's right around the corner, and we have little things like this show and things pop up here and there that can still bring us so much joy during these crazy times. So one more question, and then I think we end at 4. So this can be one of our last questions. This is from Emma in 5th grade. How long have you guys been practicing for this show? Abby, do you want to take that one?
Sure. After auditions, we pretty much started virtual rehearsals right away. And we were basically doing it, I think, like Monday through Thursday, 3 to 5, every single day after school. Then pretty quick, we went to filming, I think about right before Thanksgiving. Then after that, we just waited for the editing to be done, and here we are watching the show.
Yeah, so this question, so that was a great way that Abby put it. We definitely have all been working super, super hard, and there's a ton of students who don't even get credited in this film, like visually. So many people working backstage with lights and sound and editing and recording, and like these guys stayed up like all night trying to put this together. So we are so, so thankful for them and our incredible director, Miss Broves. We do have one more question that we can end off on. I'm going to give this to Laura, who is our drama club officer. What is the next thing that drama club is doing?
Our next 2 things that we're doing is our annual talent show in January, I believe. And then we are also doing our cabaret next, which will be in February.
Yeah, so if anybody is new here and doesn't know like what cabaret is, that is a bunch of different shows and songs from musicals and different shows that we put all together into one big experience. And there's duets, there's big musical numbers, there's like solos and trios, and it's all different styles and genres of music, and it's super, super fun. And our talent show shows off people who aren't always acting in some of our shows. So it's also a super great chance for all of you guys to see some of the other students at CHS who have infinitely many talents to offer here. So it looks like it is 4:01 now. So I think that pretty much concludes our live stream chat. We would just like to thank all of you guys so, so much who came and supported us and tuned in, because you guys are the reason that we do this. We are performers and we love seeing all you guys. So thank you so, so much for joining us. And we hope we can continue to bring you theatrical experiences during these crazy times. Alrighty. Bye, guys.